Tan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामे नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हरे कृष्ण। So everyone knows the story of Vamana Dev a little bit, like Vamana Dev, how he came to Bali Maharaj and he asked for 3 steps of land, right? And then in the first and second step, he actually covered everything. But said in the second step, when he actually expanded his foot, he actually kind of pierced through the entire material universe. And the celestial Ganges, the Ganges from beyond, that actually entered into this material world through that crack in that material. So basically, spiritual water descending into the material world. And it's also, Bhagavatam describes that at the time when Brahmaji saw the lotus feet of Vamanadev, he actually did Abhishek of the lotus feet, and that is also said to be the Ganges. Right? So this entire pastime, they say, happened in Satya Yuga, long time back. Right? And still, now Ganges, you can go to India, you can go to Prayagraj, and then you can go to Varanasi, anywhere on the banks of the Ganges. You actually take a bath in the Ganges. And because it is said that the Ganges had actually touched the feet of Krishna, is coming from the spiritual realm, it says anyone who bathes in the Ganges, first thing they say, all your sinful reactions are washed away. You are purified just by taking bath in the Ganga. Right? That's why, in Kumbh Mela, anyone of you have been Kumbh Mela? Kumbh Mela is said to be the largest gathering in the world. Once in 12 years? Yeah, once in 12 years it happens, right? Once in 12 years. But they say, anyway, the numbers, they try to estimate the number, and they say there's like, what's the right number? Like 30 million people or something? 3 crore. 3 crore. Yeah, 30 million. Exactly. So 30 million people come for that festival. Imagine 30 million people coming to one place, right? And even now the government officials cannot understand. How does 30 million people even come here? Even with trains, everything all booked, how can 30 million people come to this one place? So Prabhupada actually, he made a very interesting point. He said, in India, actually, there are still very yogis who have mystic powers. So yogis in the Himalayas, they have this siddhi. They'll take a dip in the Himalaya, in the Ganga, and they'll come out in Prayagraj. They can do that. I mean, in India, you'll find all kinds of, and Kumbh Mela is a place where you'll find all kinds of yogis, right? You'll find yogis who don't wear clothes. You'll find yogis who can levitate. You can see all that in Kumbh Mela. Very interesting. So Prabhupada made that point that they take a dip somewhere and then come out in the place where, the Kumbh Mela is. They just appear. But going back to the point, I was saying that how Ganges is so powerful. that anyone who bathes in Ganges, they say all your sinful reactions are washed away. And as such, it does not matter. You bathe either in Prayagraj or Varanasi, or we go to Mayapur, Navadvip, near Calcutta. You bathe there, the same Ganges is coming. Anywhere you bathe, you get the same result. And what is the result? One is just our sins are washed away. And second, we are actually connecting ourselves with Krishna. Because we are actually getting Abhishek actually of Krishna's lotus feet. We are bathing in that. So anywhere you bathe in Ganges, you are connecting to Krishna. That happened in Satyayug. Now it says in Dwapar Yuga, how the Ganges has descended. Similarly, the same Ganges descended. How? Through the mouth of Krishna, as the Bhagavad Gita. And says any section of the Bhagavad Gita, you dive into it, you get the same result. As in Ganga, you take a bath, you're connecting to Krishna. Similarly, any section of the Bhagavad Gita, you dive in, you will actually are connecting yourself to Krishna. Right? So this is the power of a Bhagavad Gita. Any place, just like how Ganges is so purifying, it says Bhagavad Gita. You just have to dive into the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. It will wash away all our sinful sins. And then beyond that, it will actually give us the spiritual perfection. That's the potency of Bhagavad Gita. So we are, okay, let's go. So where are we in Arjun's journey? See, it's interesting that every week we should be thinking on where did we stop in the Bhagavad Gita? Where are we in Arjun's journey? Like as I said, Bhagavad Gita means we have to live Arjun's journey, right? So anyone remembers which point we came up to?
Text 7, we completed the two.
No, that was, you missed one class.
Oh.
Yeah. Text 11. Okay, text 11, that is good, but consider. Okay, that's the point. Okay, that's the point that Krishna actually is answering. Now, if you consider Arjun's journey, right? We talked about like how emotional breakdown and so much emotionally disturbed, like his limbs are quivering, his mouth is drying, skin is burning, cannot even hold his Gandiva, all those emotional disturbances. And from that emotional disturbances, he actually gave intelligent questions, how to justify. Hare Krishna. Please come, friend. He actually gave so many reasons to justify that emotion, right? So that's what we read up to this point. And also, if you see the reasons that Arjun gave, it was in a mood of compassion, right? It was in the mood of thinking about the future. He talked of like, if I do this, then sin will come, right? Yeah, so thinking about the future. Then it was in the mood of being a good citizen. Yeah, very nice point. Citizen, thinking about if we fight, then what will happen to the society, right? So all like the way Arjun has thought very intelligently, but still, in spite of all this, he actually comes to the point and says, Krishna, now I am grief stricken. I'm so overcome with grief that I cannot figure out what should I do, right? And that's the point when Arjun actually, he accepts humility, the mood of humility, karpanya doshopahata. That's when spiritual knowledge actually starts. When we can use our intelligence and say, okay, this is required to solve, and this is how I'm going to do it. But the material world is such a way that it will bring us to a point that even after using all our intelligence, we still are confused. I thought about it, but still I don't know whether this is right or wrong. And similarly, Arjun used all his intelligence, but still came to a point, I cannot figure out. Right? And then he, in that mood of humility, Krishna, without you giving me this knowledge, I cannot figure it out. Right? And then the question that Arjun asked is a question that we all should ask. What was it? Karpanya dosha pahata swava prichami tvam dharma samuda cheta. Then Yashreya san nishitan bhuvitan me shishya seham shadimam tvam prapanam. So what is the question? What is the best thing for me? How should I act in such a way that is the best thing for me? Isn't that question relevant for all of us? We all want to know.
In
any situation. How should I act in the situation which is the best thing for me? And that's what Arjun is asking. How should I act in a situation which is the best thing for me? Right? And then Krishna says, Arjun, further he actually says, I can find, even if I win all the sovereignty, even of the demigods, Swargalok also if I get, I cannot take away this grief. So nothing material is going to take away this grief. I need something beyond, right? And then Krishna smiles, and then he chastises Arjun, right? And we see again he's chastising. He chastises Arjun in 2.2, right? Starting our chapter, very strong words. Again he chastises Arjun. Arjun, you are acting as if you're such a learned person, but what you're saying, it seems that you're not very learned. And we just said that Arjun's mood of thinking was like, wow, so intelligent. Talk with a mood of compassion, good citizen, like, such a nice mood. But still, Krishna is saying, no, you have missed the point. It's not very intelligent, right? Now, Krishna actually will take us. He says, any situation we are in, first of all, we have to understand that who needs to act in that particular situation. Who? First of all, the identity is important. If you don't understand the identity, then any problem you solve, you don't even know like who is, you're thinking, okay, I want to work for my best interest, but I don't know who I am. Then where is the question of best interest if I don't answer the who question? So let's read few verses and then we'll discuss. You have a point?
I was just recapping what we learned. You emphasized about when Arjun, said in a grief and in a sorrow mood, and is not ready to fight. Krishna on the very next verses was smiling, and you asked the question why Krishna is smiling. Like this was about the last lesson.
So what was it? So Krishna smiled, and why did Krishna smile?
The smile was because it's just like a father seeing the child that will get slipped down, but he knows that he has that protection because he knows that is not what he is in that direction. The direction has to be corrected. So, yeah, that's why this.
Yeah, fine. So yes, so why does Krishna smile? And we actually relate it to our journey. That when we finally say that, okay, Krishna, I need the answer. When we turn to Krishna and ask, Krishna, you please tell me which is the best way. Now, after so many lifetimes, we are actually turning to spiritual wisdom and saying that, please.
It's like spiritually, Arjuna has accepted Krishna as earlier they were friends,
Yes.
and now accepted as kind of a guru. Right?
Guru, yes.
So that's what Krishna says, now you turn towards me, and
now I feel like, okay, now you have turned towards me, no solution will come, no doubt about it. So Krishna smiles. So whenever we turn to Krishna and we accept the Guru, or accept spiritual wisdom, accept the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then Krishna smiles. Okay, now you have come to Bhagavad Gita, all your problems will be solved, no doubt about it. But you have come to Bhagavad Gita. That is the turning point in our life. Right? And the Vedanta Sutra, which is actually said to be the essence of all our Vedas, which is actually written in sutra form. What is the first of that Vedanta Sutra? The first one, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. He says, the Vedanta Sutra says, the first, a human form of life starts when we Athato Brahma Jigyasa, when we ask about our spiritual life. Right? We ask about like all these material things. There's something beyond. What is it? Who am I in essence? As soon as we ask, that is the first thing. Our human form of life actually starts when we ask that question. Right? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Inquisitiveness about our real self. Inquisitiveness about who we are. Inquisitiveness about the problems we face. And what is beyond all this? Okay, so let's read. So 2.11, I think we discussed. So anyway, we'll go again. 2.11 and 12 we'll go. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Asochan Anvasocastvam Pragyavadam se bhasase Gatasun Agatasun cha Nanu Sochanti Panditaha. Okay, translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of you. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
Okay, we'll continue and then I'll explain the verses together. Text 12. Natva evaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadipah Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha Sarve vayam atah param.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us case
Cease to be. Okay. Text 13. We'll read few verses and then I'll try to go back. Dehino asmi yatha dehe Komaram yovanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhirastatra na muyati.
As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change.
Okay. Okay, so let's discuss and then we'll continue reading. So, actually, these days in yoga circles, they talk about, and many of them they have their symbol also. What is the symbol? Mind, body, and spirit. Right? And it's very common in yoga studios. Like you go, even in their symbol, their icon, they'll have mind, body, spirit, like a triangle. Right?
Soul, mind, body, soul.
Mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit. That's actually the expo, right? Mind, body, expo. It was recently there, a big expo in Raleigh. All yoga groups had come and mind, body, spirit. So this concept of mind, body, spirit, where did it come from? Right there. No. We are reading right here. From Bhagavad Gita. It's right here, right? So first Krishna talks about this body. Right? And why is Krishna talking about the body at this point? Right? Again, I mentioned the point that we have to understand who we are. Unless I understand who I am, then I cannot make a right decision. Now, when we consider ourselves in terms of body, we actually connect ourselves with so many different designations. Like what?
I'm so and so.
Like what?
I'm an engineer.
I'm an engineer. Okay.
Designation.
So in terms of occupation, we say I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm so and so. Okay.
Wealth, designation. Those are the
Okay.
defined in the
Designation, I am a manager, I'm CEO.
I'm the best.
I'm best. So Prabhu, we have to teach him some humility. He needs some humility. Okay. Who said something else?
I'm rich, I'm poor.
I'm rich. So based on a financial situation. Okay. What else? Huh? Mother. Yes. Based on our relation. So all this you actually mentioned up to this point is more in terms of our occupation. I'm engineer, I'm doctor, I'm IT, I'm rich, I'm poor, financial situation, all those things, right? So when we actually associate with a designation, then everything that is actually there with the designation, we actually think in terms, okay, I am a manager, hence I should work in so and so way, right? In terms of designation. Then you said mother, right? With relationship, we have so many designations, father, mother, and so on. So, okay, what else? Designations. Yeah, okay. Sex, male or female. Okay. Relationships, okay.
But bigger is I. That I is always standing.
I is always?
Standing. Like I am this, I am that, I am so.
Okay, I, okay. The I. But what else? I designations. What else do we connect ourselves with?
part and parcel of Krishna.
That is the highest, but
Indian.
Indian, okay. Based on a nationality, right? Based on a nationality, I'm Indian, I'm American. And so
I'm thin man fat.
human? Okay. Okay, I am human being, right? Before I was maybe animal species, now I'm human being. And you said, based on our body?
Yeah.
Right?
Caste.
Based on our caste? Okay.
Religion.
Oh, okay. I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim, I'm Christian. Okay. I'm fat, I'm thin, right? You know,
North, South, East, West, we all do that too, right? Like, I'm from
oh, I'm North Indian, South Indian. You're different category, you're South Indian, I'm North Indian. Right? Yeah, based on our area. So many designations, right? And based on our association with all these designations, we think in that way. We think in that way. Okay, I am so and so, hence this is what is the right thing. Right? So based on our designations, we are actually determining our thinking. Right? Now, is that wrong? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why is it wrong? I mean, if I'm a mother, then I have duties of a mother, right? I cannot deny that. And a father, I have duties of a father. Is that wrong?
No. Sometimes.
Okay, yes, sometimes no. We got all the answers. Yes, no, sometimes. Yeah, please.
So, back in India when we watched cricket, right?
Oh yeah, cricket. How can we miss cricket? Come on. I'm Indian, support Indian cricket team. Yes.
Cricket, right? I never felt like, whenever India-Pakistan match happened, when I passed association, this feeling to my own son, right? So myself, even my father, we never went to the border to fight with Pakistan, right? But this being embedded generation to generation, and when I passed it to my son, I never realized. So we were just watching a match, and he felt, no, Pakistan we should defeat Pakistan. And I was feeling like, you never seen even the border, right? But this association, what we think and what we speak, how kids pick it up.
Yeah.
So he developed that feeling like, Pakistan is bad. Why it is bad now? I asked this question, why it is bad? What have you seen? No, it's bad. So
that's a good
the
example.
association, as you spoke about, right? What we connect with ourselves and what we pass on to the next generation, if we are not spiritually, passing the right thing, we never know what we are passing through.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, see, the point is all these identities, actually, we can connect it with certain duties. If you're a father, you have certain duties, right? And that kind of identity leads to attachments, right? Naturally, father, parent, attachments are there with the children. Now, the attachments are natural, right? But if those attachments are actually becoming a hindrance for our higher values, then that attachment is the problem, right? So with Arjun also, what was his first connection? Oh, my own uncle, my great grandfather, my teachers, they are right here. Right? Relatives are right here. How can I fight? So Krishna's point is, because you're making all these designations and you have that attachment is becoming a hindrance for you to see what is the ultimate good. Hence, the first thing, let's break that hindrance. Right? And hence, last few verses, he actually said, what the point he says? As the embodied soul. He said, never there was a time when you did not exist. Right? In the past also, you were there. Right? Even before Arjun, you were there in some other, like before our current body, we were there in some other previous body. We were always existing. In the future, we'll still be there. After we die, we are still there. Right? So beyond our temporary identity as I am Aditya and so, right? There is an eternal aspect. There is an eternal aspect. And if just based on our external body, we are ignoring that thing which is more permanent, then we are making a mistake. Like this is actually very, we are talking about this, but it's like natural the way we think. Like children, when they are growing up, they just want to play. But the parents, they know better. They say like, if you're always going to play, then who's going to study? And why are we thinking that way? Because we have a longer term perspective. The children, they have short term perspective. Right now, I want to play. But parents, okay, if you don't study, then there are, you won't get a job, so on. So we have longer perspective. So we are already in our life, we give, as we grow, we give perspective, we give more importance to a longer, something which lasts for a longer time. Right? Don't we do that? Like if you go to the beach, and in beach they make the sand castle. So yes, you can make a nice, beautiful sand castle. But one big wave comes and then washed away. After it's washed away, then how sad are you about it? Maybe a little bit you feel like, oh, I spent last 3 hours making, but I know it is temporary. So, it's supposed to go. It's not going to last forever. Hence, you don't emotionally get so much attached to it. Why? Because you know. So now Krishna's point here is, okay, temporary there are certain things, but beyond that, there is something that's permanent. So which should you actually give preference to?
Goes to the permanent.
To the permanent. So similarly, like what else examples can we think about here? So I gave one of the sandcastle. Right? Okay, let's take our dream. Right. So now, okay, tomorrow morning we wake up, right? And during the dream, in the night we saw a dream and we saw something. Right? Was that thing existing before we slept? No. Is it existing right now after we wake up? It was just that temporary thing. And then once the dream could be a good dream, bad dream, right? Well, once you wake up, it's like, okay, it's temporary. I should not give so much importance to it. I should move on with my life. We are already doing that. Now, what Krishna is doing, he's just stretching that permanence. And he's saying, okay, we think about things which are more permanent in our life. We should do this thing because it's good for our health, right? Otherwise, when we are 50, 60, then we'll have all these pains, etc., etc. We do it. Our thinking is that way. Krishna is saying, why limit that to just one lifetime? Why can't we extend that to our real self as the spiritual being? And hence that verse 13, which is like so, it says like Dehino Asmin Yatade. As we are changing our body from boyhood to youth to grown up, middle age, right? Then old age, death. We are going through all these transitions. It's changing continuously. Is it permanent? It's not permanent. So if you are giving importance to, okay, right now I am so and so years old, but I should look like 20 years before, right? If our whole emphasis is just on our current body, it's temporary. It's going to change for sure. We have no control over it. So if you're sacrificing your something that is permanent for the thing which is temporary right now, is that very intelligent? Not very intelligent. Hence Krishna is chastising Arjuna and says, Arjun, I thought you were a learned man. It's not very intelligent that you're just giving importance to the bodily connections right now, ignoring something which is really permanent. It's okay? Okay.
The conclusion is giving importance to the permanent thing.
Permanent. What is permanent now?
This have the long term
Okay, what is that long term?
Lifting spirituality.
Soul.
The spirit soul.
so how we can implement this in our regular life.
Regular life. Yeah. So basically, so see, the point is like, as I said, is those identities good or bad? If those identities are creating certain attachments, which is becoming an hindrance to our spiritual growth, then it's a problem. So can we live our life? Like body is there, we have to take care of it. Exercise, like Krishna in 6th chapter, what does he say? Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheta sukamasya. So we don't ignore the body. It is going through a change, but we want to keep it healthy. Why? We want to keep it healthy? So that if we have a healthy body, we can focus on a spiritual growth. So we are changing our perspective. Instead of just focusing on the body and just limiting to that point, let's focus on the spiritual self, which is permanent, the spirit, soul, Atma, and keeping that as the main priority, we take care of the body. Relationships, right? They're temporary, right? Temporary, right? I mean, now it's, in the US, they say divorce rates are what? Like almost 60% or over. Yeah. The relationships also, like they get married and after some time it's over. But those who are more culturally strong, yes, they know in marriage there's always ups and downs. This temporary thing is there. But there is, I should give importance to something. This marriage is a tie for lifetime. I want to keep it. Right? So even though in marriage there's fights, but I'll just, okay, it's okay. They say the fight between husband and wife is just like thunder. It comes and it goes. And after that, again, it's sunny day. So don't give too much importance. Because why? The long-term relationship is important. Right? So that is just within the lifetime. But Krishna is saying beyond that. Beyond that. Lifetime also. So relationships, also we take care, but we take care in a way so that our spiritual growth is actually sustain, or you're able to nourish your spiritual growth in that relationship. Is that possible? Yeah, it is possible. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is saying, okay, if you're a father, be a spiritual father. So he's not saying that, okay, you're a father, no, give it up. That's only external. No. Be a father, do your duties as a father, but do it spiritually. That means keeping the spiritual perspective in mind. So all these relationship identities we talked about, if it is a hindrance to our spiritual life, okay, maybe it's not so important. Let me give it away. But can I actually connect this identity in such a way that will help me grow spiritually?
Yes.
Then that's the one. Okay. So first is the aspect of the body. Then what is there beyond that? The mind. Okay. Everyone with me? Prabhu?
No, every time we are, whatever session, whatever discussion we are doing, we are letting Krishna and Arjuna in mind, and we are thinking they are discussing like that. But after a discussion, whatever they have done, whatever conclusion happens, how we can implement that conclusion in our day-to-day life, that I'm not able to figure it out. That just like we just discussed, we just grow a child spiritually connected, right? But what should we do?
What should we do?
How we can do?
Right. And that's a very nice question. That's the whole question of, yes, I'm getting the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, but how can I practically live it? Right? So, okay, so since you mentioned father and child, there's actually a shloka in the Bhagavata where it says, don't become a father. And it's a little strong, but it's a Bhagavatam shloka. It says, don't become parents unless you can actually teach your child how to get out of the cycle of birth and death. That means give them that spiritual wisdom that will actually free them from this entire cycle of birth and death. Okay. So now, just to make it simple, what does it mean to be a spiritual father? That means when your children are growing up, not only you give academic education, okay, all that is fine, but give them spiritual wisdom. Because the spiritual wisdom, when you are actually giving that spiritual wisdom to your child, your relationship is no longer just on a material level. You are actually becoming a guru to your child. You're giving them the spiritual wisdom in a way that they can actually apply that, make that a part of their life. And as soon as we are able to do that, our relationship is spiritual. That is one. Giving them spiritual wisdom. Second, like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is there. So many stories. Can we actually, between parents, like bring the children, let's read these stories from Mahabharata, or let's read them together. Like there's an example of a devotee I know, Radhika Raman Prabhu. While growing up, he and his brother, right? While growing up, they were homeschooled with from their parents. They were homeschooled, but every day evening they used to come together and read Bhagavatam, 1 hour. So two sons, father, mother. They said, yes, so many things are there, but this is important. Can we come together and discuss Bhagavatam? And not like, oh, this is boring or something. They used to read a story and ask the children, what do you learn from the story? How can you practically apply? And ask them questions. And when the children used to, these two boys, now they are similar to my age, actually, the elder ones. So when now they are grown up, they are like, he is actually now, he's in his 40s and he's already the chair in the University of Utah of religious studies. He's a chair. Imagine chair. Normally there's like, when you're 60, you become a chair, 50, 60. He's now 40 and he's a chair of the entire department. But this is all that is because of the spiritual education that we see. So to make spiritual wisdom relevant and interesting to children is one aspect of being, spiritual father. That's first thing. Right? The second thing I would say is setting the right example. In the sense of what? So, and I'm going to this particular example which Prabhu asked. That means what? That means that we ourselves should know the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, right? And we do so many like rituals, so many ceremonies, and we should know the reason why we are doing this in a very nice scientific way. So if we are doing it with understanding, we ourselves are living a pure spiritual life, then we are setting the example for the children. So when they grow up, they will see, oh, my parents are living a pure spiritual life, and in that they are experiencing a deeper level of happiness. They feel so, like, in spite of all the turmoil in the world, they are not so disturbed, and children can see that. So by that, you are setting the example where the child can actually see you more than just a father, as a spiritual guru. That there is something they are practicing. They are feeling that I can see, so much is happening, but they have a own practice. They have a sadhana. They are doing this, and they are so happy. So that's just two examples. And even like families coming to a temple together. Sunday we have Sunday program. Come together, children go to Sunday school, parents are there, just giving them the spiritual culture. That's another duty of having the spiritual relation. So doing spiritual activities together is already like nourishing that, that relationship. Is it?
I mean, I wanted to add, in your first class, you mentioned that it is a journey. It is not like one day
Yes.
take a pill or.
Yes.
I mean, just to answer this question, I mean, it is a long-term journey, and we need to be slowly and steadily go upwards. So, like as you mentioned that day, this is our first step: gathering, discussing,
Yes.
challenging, and we can understand, and then maybe we can take out something each and every class, the point, and try to implement that one point in our day-to-day life.
Yes.
And slowly and steadily we will go
Right.
upwards.
And also to add on, as you said, how we can see from this discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. So as it says, it's coming, right? So in the upcoming chapters, when you go through the three mode of material nature, right? It comes down to the point, wherein what we face on a day-to-day life, be it in corporate or wherever in material life, there are situations that are going to come, and those will be answered thoroughly. Right now, where we stand is when Arjuna and Krishna having him, Arjuna has given up, right? I cannot. So it's upcoming growth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as we go, the whole point is how do you live this wisdom? That's the whole thing. The whole theme is how do you live this wisdom, right? But right now, our main point is Arjun needs to make a decision. When we have to make a decision, can we give priority to our spiritual self? Is this, if I do this, if I select A or B, if I select A or B, I have to make a decision, A or B. If I select A or B, which of them is going to be more favorable for my spiritual journey? And as you progress, it becomes very clear. And hence in spirituality, in bhakti, they say it is the first two aspects are anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjan. Anukul, what is anukul, right? Favorable to your bhakti, to your spiritual life, that you gladly accept. What is pratikul? Okay, I have to make a decision. This is not favorable. Okay, that itself, I shouldn't do it. So it is very practical. Okay, so we just talked about the body, but let's discuss emotions, because that's something that we all can relate to, maybe, and make it more practical there also. Okay. Now let's read the next two verses. So Krishna talked about the body. After the body is what? Mind, right? And mind means what? Thoughts, emotions. Now Arjun, he's facing what a situation where he's totally grief-stricken. Emotionally, he's totally disturbed. Emotional breakdown, right? So now how does Krishna answer this point about his emotional breakdown? So let's see that in text 14. Matra sparshaastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nityas tam titikshasva bharata.
O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Okay, we'll discuss this. We'll read one more, 215. Yam hi na vyatayante te purusham purushashabha samadukha sukham dhiram somritatvaya kalpate.
Oh, best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both things certainly eligible for liberation.
Okay. So now 2 verses after talking on the body, and body, the main point was what? This is temporary, this is permanent, right? Our spirit, soul, our Atma is permanent. The body is continuously changing, right? What do biologists say? They say every 7 years,
The DNA will be.
every 7 years, every cell of our body is continuously changing. So after 7 years, you don't have even one cell what you had 7 years before. Every cell is changing continuously. So after 7 years, you don't have even one cell, which is like, oh, this is the same, right? And yet we are so attached to this body. So body, temporary, and spirit, soul, Atma is eternal. That is permanent. So focus, give priority to the Atma. Now let's talk of emotions. So body is continuously changing. What are the emotions? Continuously changing, right? How much does it take to change an emotion? Everything is going well, and then one car cuts over and immediately, hey! Right? My right of way. How do you know, anything, just a trigger, and emotion goes up and down. Actually, our entire life is like a roller coaster of emotions, up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'll tell you one quick story from the Bhagavatam, just to make the point how emotions are so temporary, up and down, right? So there was this king by name Chitraketu, and he was the emperor. He was there in Bhagavatam. He was the emperor. That means not only India, but even beyond, he was ruling. And he said that his rule was so good that everything in his rule was perfect. All the citizens used to love the king. Everyone was like doing their duties so properly, like not any sinful activities, like not much thievery. Everything was so perfect in his kingdom. Money was coming, and also because he was ruling so nicely, even Mother Earth was not being like exploited. So even Mother Earth was providing so many natural resources, minerals, water was plenty, rainfall was plenty, everything was perfect. And one may think that if a king is so pious and everything is perfect, then he should be very happy, right? Yet he was not happy, right? So once a rishi by name of Angira Rishi, right, he actually comes to the court of Chitraketu, and he actually says, Chitraketu Maharaj, you are such a exalted king. Everything is so perfect in your kingdom. And he starts glorifying and says, like, talks about like how everything is under your control. You have managed everything so nicely, everything seems perfect. But then Angira Rishi looks at Chitraketu and says, like, everything is so perfect, but I see in your face that you are internally very sad. And he asks, so what is the reason? Everything externally seems so perfect, but internally, you're so sad. And actually, it is said that Chitraketu Maharaj was so, like, he was even externally, body-wise, he was like, very strong and beautiful and youth. Everything was perfect. But in spite of that, Angira Rishi could make out, there's something which is disturbing you. That's making you so sad. And then Chitraketu Maharaj said, you are Angira Rishi, right? What can be hidden from you? You know everything, right? Yet because you're asking this question, let me tell you that the reason I'm not satisfied is I don't have a son. I have everything, but I don't have a son. And Chitraketu Maharaj, he was so glorious, like, and he had actually many queens before they used to have. And he had a queen, and they used to try, and no son. So he used to marry more. So he had so many queens actually, but still no son. So Angira Rishi said that, okay, you don't have a son, so I can do a yagya. And from the yagya, you'll get, normally they show, you get sweet rice or something. And then by that, you can give it to one of your queens, and then you'll get a son. But, and then he says, but this son, he will be Harsha Shoka. Okay, Harsha means what? Happiness. Shoka means sadness. He said, your son will be Harsha Shoka. So King was thinking like, my all reason for sadness is no son. Right? So if I get a son, then Harsha I can understand. I'll become very happy. Why Shoka? Angira Rishi didn't say anything. And he was thinking, why Shoka? And he was thinking that maybe I'm the emperor, and when a prince is brought up with all those opulences and all that, then he'll become pride. So maybe that may not be a very obedient son. So maybe because of that, I'll experience some shoka. He's thinking like that. I said, okay, whatever, we'll see. When it comes, we'll see. Right? So initially, he was sad. Right? Everything was perfect in his kingdom, still sad. Right? And then when the rishi came and said, I'll do a yagya, sweet rice, you'll get a son. Irrespective of the rishi gave Harsha Shoka, he's like, oh, now I'm so happy. I'll get a son. So they did the yagya, they got that sweet rice. And then he said, of all my queens, who is the Jeshta and the Shreshta? In the sense that who is the best of all my queens? Jeshta means who is the eldest and who is the best. He said, I'll give it to her. So he gave the sweet rice to her. Her name was Krita Duty, right? Krita Duty. And then she had the sweet rice, and then they united, and then very soon they had a son. And then now, if you see the happiness, so he was sad, and then happy that sage, okay, now it's going to happen, and then son is born, super happy, right? Very, very happy. He said, like, I've been waiting for so long, and when you wait for something for a very long time, and when it happens, you become even more happy, right? So he's very happy. Now my son is there. And then he was so like day and night, just like taking care of the son, and the wife, there are so many wives, right? But the one wife who actually got the pot, he was just like, became so attached to that one wife that because of you, we got a son, So he had so much affection for Krita Duty, he was kind of neglecting the other wives. So just Krita Duty. And then so Chitraketu, his wife Krita Duty, and son. They were so happy. Everything was so nice. Right? So sadness and then happiness. But he says shoka, right? So now it has to go down. Whenever it comes up, it goes down. And that is what Krishna is saying. What does he say? Just like how summer and winter. Right? Now we are going through a transition. It was cold, now it's going to get warm. Now after warm, will it remain always warm? No. Again, cold will come after a few months. How the seasons change, similarly the harsha and shoka will go on in our life. Right? So what was the shoka in Chitraketu Maharaj's life? That all the other wives, so Kritaditi was there, but so many other wives. And now that Kritaditi had a son, Maharaj was giving her so much attention, and he was neglecting other wives. All the other wives were feeling that, we are like worse than maidservants. The king does not even give any attention to us. And it's like, we have to do something about it. So all the queens came together, say, what can we do? Now the king does not even care for us. There's only one wife, and that's it. And because of that, they became envious. They said all that is because of the son. Before he was giving equal time to everyone. Now because of the son, he has become very partial. No time to us. And out of their envy, and you can see how emotions are so strong. Out of their enviousness, what did they do? They actually said, we're going to poison the son. Imagine. Actually, that the sloka actually says that because their emotion was so strong, and it was so much enviousness, what happened? It destroyed their intelligence. It happens, right? When you get really angry on someone, right? And then you get angry and all you are like, start shouting, and you cannot even think at that point. So similarly for them, their emotion was so strong that they couldn't even think. And they said, we'll poison the sun. And they actually poisoned the sun. The only son, right? And they poisoned the sun. And then once Kritaduti, she said, okay, my son, you have been sleeping for so long, time to wake up. And she comes and sees, son is dead. And then after that, Kritaduti falls into like so much lamentation. I mean, the king, Chitraketu, hears. So he was so happy. And then Shoka. He became so like, lamentation. He said that he couldn't even walk. He was just like falling and just crying and crying and crying and crying. He said, all my hope. I waited so long. I got a son. I was so attached to him. And now everything is over. And then actually after that, Angira Rishi comes back. So that son, he was Harsha, but now he became Shoka. It was the cause of the biggest lamentation for the king. So now Anga Rishi comes back, and this time he comes back with Narad Muni. And he actually starts giving spiritual wisdom to the king. And he actually tells him, he says that, you're lamenting so much that you're forgetting all your duties as a king. You have just given up everything because of this lamentation. And he points out the same point that Krishna is saying. He said that even relationships as such are temporary. If in terms of a relationship, you're sacrificing your true spiritual values, then what is the point of that relationship? Like the whole theme here is don't sacrifice your duties, your real duties, your permanent duties for temporary things. And Narad Muni comes and gives the same instruction to Chitraketu. And it's so interesting. After he gives this instruction, then Chitraketu starts, he almost like wakes up. He says, oh yeah, it makes sense. And then Narad Muni gave life to that son. He was dead, but all of a sudden, the son woke up. And then the father was like happy to see, oh, now it's that. But the son was like, he woke up, and Narad Muni actually told, see, your father is lamenting that you left. And what was the son's answer? In which lifetime were they my parents? Can you imagine? Because so many lifetimes we have gone. Every lifetime we had different father and mother. And the son comes back and says, which lifetime they were my father and mother? And then he actually gives spiritual wisdom to his father. And he says, like, you're lamenting so much for me, but I came and I left. That was all the cycle of karma. My karma was such that I had just a short lifetime. I came, I go. But why are you giving up your duties for this case? So, obviously that, father losing a son, emotions are very strong, but main point, and the main point Krishna is telling, that don't sacrifice your true duties in terms of, because of your emotions. So Arjun was so emotionally broken down, and he said, like, because of his emotions, I'm not going to fight. Krishna is saying, how can you give up your true duty for your emotion? And what is the nature of emotions? It's going to go up, going down, going up, going down. So something which is temporary. So what is the first temporary that Krishna established? The body. Second temporary Krishna is establishing? The emotions. Emotions, the mind emotions, right? The temporary. It comes, it keeps flickering, it keeps changing. Happy, distress, keep going through, right? But while we are going through this emotion, should we sacrifice our duties because of this emotion? So recently I was talking to one family, like they're having some, some families in India, they're having some serious, problems and everything. So they were sharing, and like, and the mother was saying that, it's like so difficult. I cannot chant my rounds, I cannot do any spiritual, taking care of my own children. That's also getting disturbed. I'm saying, like, this is the first instruction that Krishna tells to Arjun. That yes, situations will happen, emotional disturbance will come. But how can you sacrifice your duty as a mother to your child because of this emotional disturbance? Is that very intelligent? And I was watering it down, but is that very intelligent? So it's a thing, it's very practical. We should think about these things. Emotionally, things will happen, but we shouldn't let those emotional disturbance affect our duties. And we can talk of duties in different levels. Duty as father, mother, parents. Duty in terms of our job. We can say like, okay, I'm so emotionally disturbed because of some family thing, I cannot work. We have duties there also. Right? And then duties in terms of our own self. Right? Because of our emotional disturbance, we don't take care of ourselves. We stop eating. All those things. But that's also a duty. We have to nourish our body. And beyond all these duties is the duty for our spiritual self, our Atma. And because emotionally it is going to go like a roller coaster, up and up, up and down, don't let this emotional roller coaster hinder your spiritual growth. And that's the point Krishna is actually telling Arjuna. So in terms of a body, in terms of a mind, and beyond that, he's saying who we really are we our spiritual selves. So what does Krishna actually tell here? He says, yes, emotions up and down will happen. Right? When we are sad, we just hope, okay, now let it all come to a stage where everything is perfect. And let that stay forever. But does it happen? No. Again, there's always up and down. Right? So Krishna, he says, just like seasons change, your emotions will change. But what does he say? Tam titikshasva bharata. And that word is very nice. Just tolerate your emotions. What does it mean to tolerate your emotions?
Accept it.
Accept it, okay, control it, okay. Both are good words. So accept it in the sense that, okay, I am accepting now I am going through a sad phase, right? So when we accept and we have the spiritual wisdom, then we can actually say the emotions are also up and down, right? So don't, one way we say, don't eternalize the present. Like
Your duties, right? And what you're
yeah, so about emotions, we know it's going to change. They tell the story about that ring.
The
What?
king with the ring.
Yeah, but did everyone knows the story?
Yeah, you told that story. This time will pass away.
Yes. You remember the story? And quickly that, a king asked the minister, give me one object which will make a happy person sad and a sad person happy. And the minister was searching everywhere, and he couldn't say, the one thing will make a happy person sad and sad person happy? Right? And then he went to an attic shop and he found a ring. And the ring said, this too shall pass. Right? And he said, this is it. And he gave it to the king. Right? He said, this is the answer. Why? Why is this the object will make a happy person sad? Because when he's very happy, he sees that, oh, this is also going to pass. Right? So he'll become sad. That, oh, now it's all very nice, everything is perfect, but it's not going to last. Right? And a sad person, if he sees a ring, he'll be like, this too shall pass. So yeah, it is abhi bura waqt chal raha hai, but it's going to get well. Right? Abhi, it'll take some time, but it will change. The tendency is we say now it is bad and it is going to stay like that. Why do we have like so many suicides? It's like such a crazy number. Like if you see the statistics, it's like almost unbelievable that how many people are committing suicide. And why is that? Because they just eternalize. This problem is right now. I cannot see a solution, and this is going to be forever. This is going to stay forever. Hence, I don't find any solution. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. So we tend to make our emotions, Abhi, I'm feeling like this is going to be forever. But Krishna is saying, no, it's always going to keep changing. So first thing we can do with our emotions is always have the point that emotions are also like a roller coaster. Right? So don't eternalize it. Okay, that's the first point. So when you talk about tolerate, first is to understand that emotions are going to change. Then what is someone else and something else? You said something.
Tolerance that you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, but so you said accept and control. What does it mean to control our emotions? So when you feel emotions, right? So our spiritual life is, it is not like an artificial thing that, okay, I'm feeling this emotion, but I am spirit soul, hence I should not feel this and just try to like push it away. No. Spiritual life means, okay, we see, okay, now I'm feeling sad because of so and so. We can actually, confront our emotion. Confront our emotion. What does that mean? If you're feeling angry, who's feeling angry? Can you actually step back and say, oh, my mind is feeling disturbed right now? Can you do that?
Your mind is not stable.
Your mind is not stable. Exactly, right? So that's the exact point. So
everyone also know, like, when you see your appraisal after 1 year and you're expecting some high, you want to beat your manager, right? But you control your emotions.
you control your emotion. Good. So yes, so you are controlling your emotions. Why? Because you are interested in something which is more longer, right? More longer. So what was the point I was making earlier then?
Control, toleration, control.
No. Matai, what did you say? Oh, kids, yeah. Okay, so yes, that was the point, right? So yes. So you say the mind, your mind is disturbed now. Your mind is very active now, right? And if you say your mind is very active now, who's the you? Who's the you?
That body. You as a body, not the spirit soul.
No, but body is just like matter. It's like carpet. I mean, how can carpet actually, So see, if you see our body as an external, it's just made of matter,
Yes.
right? So when you say your mind, it's actually the living entities is connecting with that mind and saying that mind is disturbed. So similarly for us, when we feel emotions, we can actually step back and say, the emotions is not a part of my spirit self. Spirit self is always pure. Atma is always pure. The emotions are being experienced in the mind. And can I step back and say, my mind is feeling sad now. My mind is feeling happy now. So as soon as you disconnect, right, it's actually my mind is feeling this. So you're not just neglecting it, you're disconnecting. And then when you see the mind is disturbed because of this, then you can say, okay, I need to do so and so to address that emotion. So bhakti is not artificial, where you're saying, okay, I'm feeling like this, I should not feel like this. No. You just disconnect from it and from a spiritual perspective, see, okay, my mind is feeling this. What can I do right now to relieve this emotion or reduce this emotion? It's so powerful point, actually, if you can really implement this. So the first point we said is don't eternalize the emotion. Don't say that this emotion is going to last forever. It's all going to go through a cycle, up and down, right? So if you are sad, it's okay. This will pass through. If you are happy, then don't get over happy because the next phase will come, right? Don't eternalize. Second point, when you face emotions, then you can disconnect. You can use the spiritual wisdom and say, this is not me. My spirit self can never, is like beyond all these emotions. Can I disconnect and see the emotion and see, okay, mind is feeling this. How can I treat that emotion? So second, you're actually dealing with those emotions in a detached way. That will be a second point. Okay. What else with emotions? Any other points can you think of? First 2 points make sense? Okay. Okay. Any other points with the emotion?
Reaction. Emotion.
Yeah, reaction. So that comes in second point, that you detach and you see, okay, the mind is feeling this, and some nature of the mind because of it is triggered. Let me do something with that. So you are actually, responding, not immediately reacting, but you're responding to the emotion. Third thing I would say with emotions is, there's one of our speaker, Gaur Gopal Prabhu. right? And he was giving a class on worry. His class was why worry? Why worry? You know?
Yeah.
So he actually, he had a chart. He said, you have a situation, right? Now there are only two options to that. One is you can do something about it. Second is you cannot do something about it, right? Now, if you cannot do something about it, then you have no control. Why worry? Now, if you can do something about it, then do it, and why worry? So that's also like, we can see how much control we have over a particular situation. When we feel disturbed, we can say, okay, this situation is there, but how much can I actually make a difference in the situation? Many times we have to accept that, okay, this situation is beyond me. Like we can get angry at the political situation of US. It's like, again, same thing, again, repetition. Oh, that's horrible. But how much do you have control over it? Not much. Like someone was telling me, anyway, I don't know if this group or other group, but they were saying me that, this political news, I cannot stop like YouTube. He was saying that some clips keep coming up. And then I just cannot stop watching this political change, and then I feel so disturbed. Like, can you do something about it? Why are you getting so involved with it when you cannot do something about it? You can be aware, but you can be aware with a detached mode.
Indian political,
Huh?
Indian political thing, people are supporting.
Yeah, whatever, whichever political thing. How much can I control you have? So similarly, any situation, when the mind is too involved with it, think about, can I do something about it? Okay, this is what. Let me think about it and do this. If I cannot do, why am I getting so agitated for things which I have no control over? Mhm. So all these 3 points are made up with emotion. Very powerful points you can implement. So first point was, who remembers?
Whatever.
Yes. So don't eternalize the emotion. That it's not going to last forever. It's going to change, right? So just accept that. It's a high phase will go through a low, low will come through a high. Just accept that. Second thing,
Detach.
yeah. So actually, my mind is feeling this, right? So let me see what can I do so that the mind can deal with that emotion, right? So we are detached and we are dealing with it. And third point is see how much control you have over a particular situation. If you don't have control, why get so much involved and get agitated if you cannot do anything over it? Okay. Now coming back to our Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna is actually making the point that if we use these 3 points, and then text 15, what does he say? Yami na vyatayante te purusham purushashava sama dukha sukam dhiram somritatvaya kalpate. Right? Where he actually says, oh Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both. If you use these 3 points, you can actually become steady in your emotions, undisturbed by all the cycles of up and down. And undisturbed for what? Do we want to just be in the phase of like Shanti, Shanti, Shanti? No, emotions are coming. We are saying, okay, you have to deal with these 3 points. You can use those emotions, but undisturbed so that those emotions does not disturb your duty in life. The whole point that Krishna is making Arjun, you're thinking in terms of body, that is temporary. Don't let that disturb your real duty. You're thinking in terms of emotions, that emotions also will keep changing. Don't let that disturb your real duty. And what are the 2 duties which will come further? Duty in terms of Arjun as a Kshatriya, duty in terms of Arjun as a spiritual self, as Atma, as spirit soul. Both duties are there. So one is called Naimitika Dharma and one is Nitya Dharma. And we can relate it to us. Duties in terms of us as parents, as as spouse, all those duties, that is on our current level. And then the Nitya Dharma, duty in terms of our spiritual self, Atma. And further in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna relates Then what is our spiritual duties? That is understanding who we are, understanding who is our source, right? And understanding what is that connection. And reviving that connection is actually our journey of life. So while all these emotions, temporary emotions are going on, while the temporary phases of the body are changing, can we revive that pure? Actually, finally, Krishna comes to a point that it's all finally devotion to Krishna. That is our highest essence. So can we live a life in such a way that all these, the body and mind changes, do not disturb our real dharma? And Arjun's question is, tell me how to act in the real way, right? Karmena dosho parta swava prichami tvam dharma samudaya. Tell me what is my real dharma? What's my real duty? How should I act? And Krishna is saying, okay, first of all, learn to tolerate the changes of the body and mind, and then you can actually act in your real dharma. That is the first instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. Temporary, permanent. Focus on the permanent. Temporary, focus on it as much as is needed to support your permanent. That's the point. Okay. So the first instruction is okay. So as I said, in yoga studio, they talk of body, mind, spirit, right? But here we actually get the understanding. What about the body, mind, spirit? Yes, we understand we are not this body. We are not this mind. We are spirit, soul. But what about them? That means that from a spiritual perspective, let's deal with the changes of the body, deal with the emotion, so that the spiritual perspective, which is permanent, is given the highest priority. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop here. Any comments, questions, any realizations, any points?
Second question about when you undergo an emotion, thinking, detaching from it. It sounds simple to me, but
Yeah.
when I really want to
Do it, it's very difficult. Yeah. I mean,
start out, what do we have to do?
yeah. Actually, emotions sometimes is like if someone says something bad or something like, we have close friendship and he did something wrong or she did something like that, it actually disturbs our mind so much that we say like, okay, I don't want to think about it, but it's so hard to not think about it. And we actually get so connected with that emotion. It's just like, okay, somehow I want to clear my mind, but I cannot do it. It is so connected. Right? So, to this, I would make the point of what Prabhu actually said earlier, that spiritual life is a journey. Now, what our society is like that you buy anything, next day shipping, right? 2-hour shipping, right? We want immediate solution. Okay. Like, yes, the emotion is too strong. No, right now I want, give me one medicine, I take it, it will. But our journey, that's why Arjuna is going through a journey. It's not that Krishna says, okay, your spirit soul, you're not this body, hence you have a connection with me, fight. 3 verses Bhagavad Gita word. No. Krishna also is taking Arjuna through a journey, because each one of us, we should actually, the main point is step on the journey and go through the journey. And as we are going through a journey, we'll see how the question you asked, we'll see how it becomes practical. Okay, before it was very difficult, but now as I'm focusing on my sadhana, as I'm spending time in my spiritual life, as I'm gaining spiritual wisdom, now I feel myself more empowered to actually detach from my emotions. And you can practically perceive it. And when we talk of sadhana, 2 main things. One is chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and second is studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita every day. So everyone, if you take time every day, because as I said, it's a journey. So every day, if you take time chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, it needs discipline. Without discipline, when you say Guru, Shishya in English, what does it say? Disciple. Disciple means what? Discipline. Right? So without discipline, you cannot do anything in life. What to talk of spiritual life? So discipline or commitment that every day I'm going to chant so many rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and I'm going to read Bhagavad Gita for so much time. Is it possible?
Yeah.
Like once we were out at, I forget, it was like one of the, I think it was in Cary Arts Center or something. We had a Bhagavad Gita table there, right? And I was, distributing Bhagavad Gita, and one doctor came, and I gave him the Bhagavad Gita. He said, Bhagavad Gita, my life is so busy, I'm almost working 18 hours a day, every day. And you expect me to read Bhagavad Gita? I said, if you are working 18 hours a day, you don't have time to do anything else, then Bhagavad Gita is even more important for you. Because you're working 18 hours a day and you don't even know why are you working so hard. Why are you spending your whole life working? What is the gain? What is your motivation? You really need Bhagavad Gita. And he took it. I was happy he took it. But, the point is Bhagavad Gita's journey. We have to have commitment. So even though you are very busy, you have to make time for it. Yes, our life is busy. Everyone. We can just see children, job, this, that, cooking, house, things break down. So busy. But as soon as you say, no, this is important for me, you will give time. You will make time for it. So spiritual life means you have to make time for these things. We expect that, give me one medicine and then all problems. No, it's not like that. For so many lifetimes, we have not tried to actually do the thing what you just asked for. What is that? Detach ourselves from our emotion. We have not done it. So now the mind is, as soon as it gets emotionally disturbed, we just connect with that emotion very difficultly. But if we start the journey, chanting and reading, if you're going through a journey, then you will see. After so many lifetimes, I didn't do it, but now I'm starting to do it. And Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful and so powerful that as you do it, you will actually make out, oh, it is working for me. Hence, Krishna says in the 9th chapter that this knowledge is pratyaksha dharmyam. He says you can actually perceive the benefits of Bhagavad Gita. If you actually take up this life, chanting, reading Bhagavad Gita, you yourself can perceive. No one has to come and tell you, oh, that this is good. Oh, this is working for me. Now let me continue.
Is meditation also one of the sadhana to control our emotions?
Yes, meditation. What kind of meditation? At least our shastras, they talk of mantra meditation. Because if you just say meditation, there are so many different forms. Right? So there are certain meditations in Ashtanga yoga, right? Ashta means 8. So it starts off with yama niyam, then asan, you do different asan, then pranayam, right? Then pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So those 3 stages are stages of meditation. But for us to actually go through that 8 limb process, that means first of all, yama niyam, rules and regulations. Then to do asana, different asanas, perfect that, then go to pranayam, then go to meditation. That process is actually very long and our lives are so busy, mind so disturbed. It's very difficult for us to go through that process. Hence, Krishna recommends what? Focus on mantra meditation. Because the mind needs something. I started the class with that whole point. Mind needs something to hook onto. So why not hook the mind to the highest spiritual perfection, which is actually the Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it says, not different from Krishna himself. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you are directly connecting with Krishna. And this is a meditation. Why? Because while we are chanting, we are actually putting all our thoughts away. And at the same time, you're connecting your mind to the highest spiritual perfection. So mantra meditation is a sadhana. Okay. Any other questions? Stop.
Beginning when you were explaining about Bhagavad Gita, you were giving this example of Vaman. So when he became like a Trivikrama, he was piercing through the material side, and then the Mother Ganges was being taken from Brahmaji's Kamandal, but then something suddenly that got into my mind was it was Bhagirath who was bringing.
Yeah, that comes later. That comes much later. Yes.
Then when actually Brahma was washing the lotus feet of the Lord, where did this Ganges go? Because both
No,
of
it
them
is-
happened in Satyayuga.
Yeah. It is the same Ganges. It was Bhagirath who actually, the story is there in Bhagavatam, right? He actually invited Ganges to come down, right? So when he invited, then Mother Ganga said, if I just directly come, my pressure is so high that the earth will get washed out. And then Lord Shiva actually came. He said, like, okay, you can have it on my head. So it was the same Ganges which was actually descended from the higher planetary systems to the earth by the tapasya of Bhagirath.
And then Brahma was taking that water and he was pouring onto the lotus feet of the Lord.
That's about the connection. What's continuation? Like,
No, which came first?
So Vamandev expanded,
Yeah.
broke the shell,
That part.
water came. He took the water, he did the, bathed the lotus feet.
Yes.
That water was in higher planetary systems. It did not come down to.
It come down. Okay.
Bhagirathi invited the water,
Okay.
Ganges, to
Bhagirath.
descend.
Okay, that was what. Thank you.
invites Ganga for his son.
Yeah. Deliverance also. Okay. But this first instruction of the Gita, understanding ourselves beyond our body, beyond our emotions, how to deal with emotions, and then focus, keep the priority of our real self, Atma, in the foremost. That is instruction that, we may have to hear this again and again to actually keep this instruction at the forefront of our life. But just this first instruction is so powerful. So please, is it clear? Like the first theme? Bro, question? Yeah. Anyone behind have question about this first theme?
I'm still stuck with that point, sorry about it. That means if Ganges was accessible to Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is only in the material world, he's not in the spiritual world, right? But how could he get that from his common wisdom? Because Mother Ganges was in the spiritual world and Lord Brahmaji is in the material world. So how could he get the water from Viraja?
Because Vamandev's foot actually pierced through, right?
Okay, so he
He took the water and he's bathing with that.
he got an access in that way. Okay, but
Okay. So we'll stop here. So thank you all so much. Continue further with the instructions next week. Okay. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.